What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you guys live today from Delray Beach, Florida. I'm at Scott Woolley Studios. First Block Capital Fund, a new sponsor, a little shout out. We're going to get more into that. What a treat we have for you all today. We're going to drag him here from Miami. They call him G. Ladies, you got to control yourself. This guy is a magnet, a genuine rock star. He's on the come up like nobody's business. If you don't know him, that's okay. Now you know him. I want to introduce my friend, my brother from another mother, Gabriel Arias Maduro. What's up, baby?
What's up, Ross Mandell? Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm so excited to see you. It's been a minute.
It has.
For the first time coming to the studio.
Yeah, it's my first time here. You got a pretty dope little setup here. I'm excited to be here. I mean, we've come a long way, right?
We've come a long way, and we have so much to discuss. And I just feel I'm overtaken by emotion right now because I remember when we first met, and I was expecting to go home. I was at the building, Miami FDC, stuck there for 19 months in hell. It's a detention center, a federal detention center. For those of you who don't know, I was living with murderers, guys that were sentenced to murder, going to death row. They put them in my cell, and serial killers, guys that stabbed people and had to go back to court because they were on their way to death row. We're killing a lot of people in Florida these days. And I get news that I'm leaving. That's it. I'm going home. Mandel, pack it up. All of a sudden, they start putting chains on me. I said, "What are you doing?" I thought I'm going home. And no, you're not going home, Mr. Mandel, but you're going to a sweet spot. I'm like, what does that mean? And they chained me up like this, put me on a bus, and they sent me to Coleman, Florida. I go into the camp at Coleman, Florida, formerly a women's camp, and I say, put me in this unit, and I say, okay, who's running this joint? Who's in charge? Who's in charge of the inmates in this spot? Who's the head orderly? Because I've been down for a minute and I understand. And they say his name is G. Okay? He's a Latin guy. Okay? Where's G? And I meet this young man. That's how it came. That's how we began our friendship.
And actually, I believe this past September made, 3 years, right?
Is it really that long?
Yeah.
Really?
September. You got there September 2022, right?
September 22, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Holy mackerel, bro.
3 years.
What the hell? I can't even. And I was there from September 1st, I got there. And I left January 10th. You walked me out.
And I remember meeting you the first day.
First day?
Yeah, the people were saying, hey, there's this crazy old white guy who's looking for the head orderly. I'm like, what? I look down, here you come, stampeding down the hallway. You're like, G. I'm like, what's up, man? And then we just start talking there, a little bit here and there. And then I kind of had to go back and kind of check you up. Yeah, check you up. I had to. I mean, you said you're Ross Mandell. We spoke. You said you came from the Miami camp. I knew someone who had come from the Miami camp whose name was also Ross.
Ross Riker, what's up, baby?
Crazy coincidence, he was my best friend there before you had got there.
And he just left.
And he had just left. And that was the first Ross I ever met in my life.
Right.
So from the first Ross I ever met in my life to the second Ross I ever met in my life, I go back to my cell, check stuff out, hit people up. And they said, you are who you are. That you are exactly who you say you are, to look out for you. Then and thereafter, I went back to your cell, asked you what you wanted. I hooked you up with a new bed. I think I got you ice cream that night too. We got ice cream, Chinese food that first. Yeah.
Chinese food. What? In federal prison, I'm eating Chinese. I go, what kind of Chinese food? He goes, bro, it's Chinese food.
Yeah, right.
Can't be picky.
Beggars can't be choosers.
$30, cash app, bing, bang, boom. It was really fun. And that began a friendship that lasted pretty much every day. We hung out for the next 4 or 5 months.
Nah, it was pretty crazy because, obviously when you're in there, age doesn't really matter. Race does in a sense, but, for some people it doesn't matter. For me, it definitely did. And I was kind of a mix with everybody. But, we had similar ties, from Ross to Ross. We started talking. You started, seeing certain things I was doing the way I moved. And like you said, we started hanging out. going to lunch together, talking, speaking about certain dreams that we're living right now, which is crazy.
It's happening. But I just want to say something because I was thinking about you last night in knowing that you're coming. You know, Stephanie's a big fan. And so she's sending me notes and this, and I'm like, I don't need notes for G. You got to be kidding me. But she's very sweet. But I was thinking about something very ironic, and I feel like there's a lesson in it for you because I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm going to move how I move. And I was thinking that if you weren't the head orderly, I might never have met you.
1,000% you wouldn't have.
I would have met you, but I've been like just
But-
another guy.
But you're a power player, and it was a power play. You got there, like you said, you know the system, you've been down for a while, so you knew exactly who to go to get what you needed.
Correct. The head orderly. And a guy named Matthew Boyer was just here in this chair a few months ago. And he was on his way to the federal prison camp at Lompoc. He was Shohei Ohtani's bookie. He became world famous. This guy booked $323 million of bets in 1 year.
Yeah.
And basically lost a lot of money. But he can afford it.
Yeah, of course.
The interesting thing is, Matt Boyer paid all these big attorneys. He's got these prison consultants. I said, bro, stay to yourself. When you get there, they assign you a unit. Find out who the head orderly is. He'll tell you who you pay to do your laundry. If you want to cook, if you want to deal with guys from the
Give you
kitchen.
the ins and outs.
These are the guys. You go to the head orderly. It's politics. A lot of guys are going to be coming at you. I can do this. I can do that. You say, be nice, polite, but you look for the head guy. And so that's how we met, man, because you had the moxie in that crazy environment to become the head orderly. So you had an opportunity to serve guys like me. Because in the real world, we would never meet. You're half my age, and you're who you
Different
are,
cities.
done your thing, and I'm the guy that, you know, made my bones in New York City, and went down to Wall Street and said, I want to make money. I want to be successful. I want to move the needle. I want the best life I can have. And I've had a bucket list life. I'm very blessed. I really am. And even with all this prison nonsense, I'm coming out, and I'm like, I'm being heralded and shepherded. And I realized something today, and I shared about it. The stock market is at an all-time high right now. It's never been this high. Made a new high yesterday, 500 points. And I've been calling it.
Yeah,
Everything I'm saying
since
is
you got
recorded on my Instagram grid, and I'm pointing at it.
Rostradamus, right?
It's just what it is. And then today it's up another 400 points. It's never been here before. And everybody's like an expert. Guess what? I went down to Wall Street in 1983. I'm doing this every day for 45 years. I showed up. I'm in the stock market in my head 45 years every day. Was in prison, didn't matter. Still in the market, still teaching classes, still advising guys, etc. Reading the papers, up to speed, up to date. Put on CNBC, put on Fox Business. That's when I would go into little TV rooms when we weren't watching these shows that you like. You introduced me to all that stuff. But the point I'm making is I showed up. And today, the stock market's, it's in uncharted world, never been there. So anybody that's talking about it, hypothecating, predicting, guessing, guess what? I'm doing this 45 years. My guess is as good or better than anybody. And so I had a realization today that if you're interested in learning about the markets, about growing wealth, about crypto, I'm the guy. I am the guy right now. And the only reason I'm available is because they put me in prison. They took over $100 million from me, literally. And most guys like me are living on a private island in their penthouse apartments, flying in private jets, doing their thing. Ain't talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. You understand? The only reason I'm available to anybody
is because of what you
because of what the government did.
Yeah.
So, and I look at you, and you're a vibrant young man, and I've tried to coach you, and I've tried to, get to you a little bit. You're a very stubborn guy. You're very obstinate, young, alpha male, bullheaded, feel like you know the way, this and that, very resistant. And that's a big mistake. I'm just sharing that with you as a friend, as an older guy to a younger guy, an older bull to a younger bull, that the only way you can really move up levels is by having mentors. That's my story. I got one piece of advice when I went down to Wall Street. Find a rabbi. And I'm a Jewish kid. I thought he meant the rabbi at first. No.
Mentor.
A mentor. Somebody that's just ahead of me.
Of course, it's doing exactly what you want to be doing. That knows the way.
You look at somebody and say, you know what? I wouldn't mind having that life. A lot of guys now, they come to me, they look at Stephanie and look at my girls and they say, wow, bro.
They
I
want what you
I don't
have,
know you, but,
but they
they
want
know
what you
you.
have.
They know you. And you know what? You must have done something right because look what you got. People that stuck by me, et cetera, and so forth. So I just want to say, you have a beautiful family. I got to know Mom Marina.
Hmm.
The name of the band is
The Marina Effect.
The Marina Effect.
We'll
I
get
want
into
you
that
guys
in a
to
little
remember
bit.
that name, Marina Maduro. And you have a wonderful stepfather, Archie Pena. He's a spectacular guy. I love him. I've had the privilege to meet your real dad, your biological dad. He's also a very interesting guy. Archie and I really spent time together, so I know Archie better. But I want to dial what I like to do is I want the audience to get to know you. You haven't
All
been
right.
out there much. This is new. You're just coming out now.
Yeah, this is technically the second time I'm behind the camera. You know, I just had
Exactly.
my first time.
You're not behind the camera. You're on the camera.
On the camera.
In front of the camera.
Exactly. I don't even know the terminology for it.
It's okay. You know, you're performing. You're a performer now.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's very interesting. We'll get to that. But you aren't always G. You didn't always have those guns, bro.
No, I did not.
Right? So tell us. So you were born and raised. Tell us about early life.
So I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. You know, from Venezuelan parents, but I grew up there. You know, I'm pretty Americanized, first sense, or Miamiized, however you would see it. And yeah, I was a good kid growing up. You know, I was in sports. I've been an athlete my entire life. I actually just came from a hockey game last night, which I'm kind of banged up everywhere for it. But I've been playing sports my whole life. In elementary school, I was the most athletic. In middle school, I was the most athletic. High school, sports was my thing. Sports, and then I also grew up kind of in the streets of my neighborhood. You know, in my neighborhood, you know, back then growing up wasn't like it is now with like so much screen time and video games and social media and all that stuff.
Right.
So I grew up playing outside every single day of my life. You know, every day I was part of that little community. We would play sports,
Basically
manhunt, do
sports.
things.
That's how you socialize.
Exactly. That was my life, my entire life, up until, you know, middle high school when things kind of like took a turn for a worse in a sense.
Well, tell us about it.
So about, I think my sophomore, junior year is when I kind of started smoking weed. Weed was like the gateway for me into that life, you know. And I also kind of somewhat related to my environment growing up. You know, I do feel like we all have our certain personalities, but we are also a product of our environments.
100%.
And growing up in the neighborhood I did, the older kids were all starting to smoke, do drugs, sell drugs, steal, you know, kind of live into that lifestyle.
Street life, thug life.
And then I started growing up around that. And as much as my parents tried to keep me away with sports and keep me busy with sports, because I was on the street, like outside all the time, I kind of fell into that myself. You know, I was friends with the older guys, you know, I started smoking with them. Once I started smoking weed, I didn't have enough money to buy weed. You know, I wasn't working, I didn't have any money.
Right.
So then one of the older guys just fronted me some. I started selling it. And then in my high school, I was a pretty popular kid. And then business, I guess, just boomed in a sense.
Right.
You know?
People were happy to do business with you.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
sold weed, right?
Yeah,
I did
sold
the same
weed in
thing.
school.
I sold weed. I sold Quaaludes.
Yeah.
It was very popular.
So I started selling weed in my high school. And that's how, like, you know, that side of the story started. I started selling weed in high school. It boomed. I went from, you know, little bits to bigger amounts. And then that obviously led to a different type of lifestyle. You know, the party lifestyle, the girls, the drugs, other drugs, experimenting, going to music festivals, clubbing. I mean, Miami also, in a sense, is a black hole for some people. It can be.
Whatever you make it.
Yeah, because of how accessible the party lifestyle is.
It's a giant party. People come from all over the world to party in Miami.
So imagine, you know, being 16, 17, 18, you know, starting to make some money, you know, getting the attention that I was, going out.
Good looking boy.
You get swept away. You know, I'm not going to lie, I got swept away by that lifestyle.
You know, I heard rumors about you. You're a little bit of a playboy. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that, but
I mean, yeah. I mean, we've all been through stages in our life. And for a lot of guys who have been in that position of popularity and sports and you know, drug dealing and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure the majority of them have had that part of playboy in their lives, you know.
I can vouch for that. I can attest to that.
But So yeah, that life kept on for about 7-8 years, and it eventually kept
Now,
graduating.
what year was that? What years were those?
2006 was when I first started selling weed.
Really?
2006
Oh.
up until 2014. 2013, like 2013, yeah, 2013, 14.
And at what point does it become a real issue? What happened in your life?
Well, at the end of high school, it started kind of
No college for you.
Yeah,
No
exactly. It
college.
kind of turned my life around because I had good grades. I graduated 3.6. I graduated with a Bright Future Scholarship, tennis school in Florida. I
Wow.
was kind of on the track, but
On a good track.
the end of my senior year, things started kind of falling apart. As soon as I graduated, I moved out of my mom's house because I didn't want to continue to deal out of her house. And
The
then
house that you're in now?
Yeah. I moved out of there, got my own apartment with a friend of mine, and then from then on, we just started living that life. I did go to Miami-Dade College though. I got my associates. I was working towards my bachelor's, but everything was I was just kind of doing that to, really, I guess, disguise the life I was living to my
I
parents
can
and my
relate to all
family.
that stuff. I get it. It's
Yeah.
I was a young man like that too at one point, and so you're selling drugs,
Yeah, and then
basically.
it was mainly weed, but then, from time to time, I'd get my hands, certain friends of mine would bring me other opportunities, painkillers or stuff like that, little small stuff on the
Opiates.
side. Yeah, just small stuff, nothing. It was always mainly weed until about like 2009, 2010, where Molly was introduced.
Molly. I
And
mean,
that's,
my nephews and nieces used to come and hang out at my house. We had a 10,000 square foot house, a lot of bedrooms, and everybody loved Aunt Steph. So they used to come in, and I had a big pool and a jacuzzi and a property. And the nephews and nieces would come in, and they're like, Uncle Ross. They would never ask Stephanie, where can we get some Molly? And I would be like Vegas,
you'd be
man.
like, hit up G.
I didn't know G at the time. I would have sent it to you because they ended up buying, they ended up
Realistically,
having.
I didn't even go by G back then.
Okay, G's a new creation, but they bought some bad stuff,
Yeah.
and it was the time when the phone rang at 3 in the morning, and they were freaking out. They were stuck at one of the all night clubs, and Uncle Ross had to get in his car
Damn.
on a Sunday
pick 'em
morning,
up.
late Saturday, really early Sunday morning, and drive to Miami to pick them up.
Probably from Space or 11.
Space.
One of the, yeah, Club
Yeah.
Space.
Because I'm meeting the owner of 11 on Friday on this my new crypto fund, First Black Capital, PJJ, and sponsoring the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, and so that Miami wild. When I was young, listen, I was coming down here in the '70s, rocking
Can't even imagine.
Quaaludes. You guys don't know. You can't even imagine the club. I was a member of every club and all that stuff. But so you're dealing now.
So yeah, from
Molly
2009
is MDMA.
Yeah. Well, real Molly back then was considered pure MDMA.
Right.
But the thing in 2009, there was a big influx of methadone, methadone, all these different type of chemicals that would give you similar type feelings as Molly does, but not as pure, not as clean, but it was way cheaper. And people were getting it from China, and the profit margins was just so much bigger.
Right.
And so 2009, 2010, that's what Molly became. It wasn't no longer pure MDMA. The Molly that has swept South Florida and most of the United States that was coming in was not MDMA anymore. It was knockoff chemicals like methadone, methadone, all these other chemicals.
Wow.
People were getting it from China for a lot cheaper and be able to make more money on it. And it was giving people similar effects, and if anything, a little bit more speedy effects. So they would like it for the clubs, for the festivals. And then
Stay up all night.
and then
days
that's what the people started taking.
Yeah,
And it was that, and it wasn't real MDMA.
It's so bad for you, so bad for your heart, all these different things. I'm recently, I was the cardiologist, and I took a nuclear stress test, and they had me walking uphill at a high rate, and they had an EKG on me and all these heart monitors and everything else. And they said nobody at my age ever got to that level, and everything was good. My heart's solid. They said, the only thing is you have a slightly enlarged heart. So what does that mean? They said, nothing, but the lady looks at me, she goes, do you ever do cocaine? I'm a cocaine addict. From years, I haven't done it in, last time I did cocaine was 1990. Okay, but it enlarged my heart. The results show up now. 35 years later. So, all you guys listening,
And you were clean for,
I'm telling 35
Yeah,
years.
you
I'm
were
just
clean for a
saying.
while.
But the
Yeah,
last
things will
time I
come
even
back.
did it was
Of
1990,
course.
and never completely sober for 25 straight years. And
People don't understand that what you do can come back and bite you. And
no, it does.
I
It
mean,
does.
kind of with my case.
God doesn't give you any free passes.
No.
Let me just tell you guys something.
Every
So,
debt in the universe.
mistakes you make right now, they will manifest sometime down the road. You'll always pay. God doesn't leave any open checks, any unpaid tabs.
100%.
You'll learn all these things as you go through life. It's hard to explain, really. All right, so you're 2009. You're living in a separate apartment.
Yeah, no, from 2008 to 2009, then I moved to Gainesville, and I was in Gainesville.
Slow down. How'd you get to Gainesville? What happened?
So one of my customers, a guy from Broward, he played hockey as well and stuff. He wanted to move to Gainesville to go and sell weed over there and go to school. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll go. He had invited me and his best friend.
But what? You love Miami, no?
I did, but it was just a change. I've always been a guy, I love change. You know, as crazy as it is, the majority of people don't like change. They like to stay in the same places, same people, same city, same jobs. I love change.
It's a
Like,
gift.
My life, actually, if you go back in my life has been like every year and a half, 2 years, change. Even when I was locked up, it was different prison,
Right.
different lifestyle.
It's very important, though, that you stay consistent in in your business life.
Well, I mean, those are things that I've been learning, you know, after. The
Yeah.
post-prison me and pre-prison me are, as you know, two
No, I understand. I'm just trying
really
to
different
counsel a young
people.
man because,
Yeah.
so you go to Gainesville, and one day you wake up, and something happens, right?
No, I go to Gainesville. No, everything was fine in Gainesville. I go to Gainesville. Just my friend, he didn't like living there. Both of them kind of missed home.
Right.
I loved it though. You know, Gainesville was fun. The lifestyle was fun. Different people. People there are much nicer. You know,
Very
the
nice.
further up Florida you go, the nicer they get.
My youngest daughter Sydney lived in Gainesville
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
for
yeah.
3
You
years,
left.
and I actually got to go. I got out of prison, and the probation department granted me travel there. It's outside my district, so I got to see my daughter graduate
For the graduation.
and they
yeah,
got
I
to go to the
remember.
basketball game, and they won the national championship that last
Oh,
year.
nice.
And I got to actually go to a game and meet some of the guys, and see where she lives and all that.
Yeah, I remember the first day I got to Gainesville, something happened with my car. So I go to a mechanic and ask him to check it up. They checked it. They changed something on it. And then when I go to like pay, they're like, no, it's okay. I'm like,
Nice people.
I'm like, what? They're like, no, that's okay.
In Miami, they would have said, you got to keep your car here for 2 weeks. You're $1,100.
I was like, wow, Gainesville is really nice people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was only there for about 6 months, like half a semester, half a year. When they wanted to move back, I moved back. And then that's when I moved back and kind of picked up on the Molly game. That kind of
Oh,
took
you
off.
kept dealing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no.
You
From
never
2006 to 2013 consistently.
So you were dealing in Gainesville?
Yeah.
Weed, but no
Yeah.
Molly? Or just weed?
Weed, no Molly.
So you came back to Miami, and now what happens?
I start talking to my old weed connect,
Right.
and then he kind of introduces me to Molly.
And how did you buy that
And then,
Molly?
well, he fronted to me. Most
Did
of
you
my
buy
life,
pills?
yeah,
Is it
most of my
powder?
life,
What do you
it was
want?
in capsules. It was
Already in
powder, yeah,
capsules?
powder is already capsuled
And
up.
so these capsules sell for how much?
Anywhere from $10 to $15 each if you sell them individually, or you
Right.
can sell them in bigger packs in
And
bulk.
you're selling thousands?
Well, when I first started, it was, I'd get my friend gave me 50 and I broke it down. But that's kind of when I made the transition from making like hundreds to making thousands, was when I went from selling weed to selling Molly.
I understand. Trust me.
And that was 2010. So in 2010, I'm over here, making a few $100s. And I remember, I think it was March 2010, which was the month of Ultra. Ultra Music Festival?
Of course.
All right. So I went to 8 straight Ultras. Ultra Music Festival was a big thing for me. I was in that lifestyle for a while.
And it's
and
great. It's great to sell drugs there.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't always go to sell drugs. I went to have a good time. But there was
I
a
know
couple.
people that go there to make money.
Yeah, there was a couple of years that I went to make money. But so that year, specifically 2010, it wasn't at Ultra, but the month of Ultra, that was the first time that I went from, I think I had like $600 to my name. And by the end of the month, I had $10,000. And that was the first time I had seen, money like that in my life,
I didn't know that viral.
Yeah, from, just selling weed, making hundreds, living this party lifestyle, to finally making some sort of
Now
money.
you had 10 grand.
Yeah, some sort of money. So then that's when I moved out, got a 4-bedroom house in Kendall, moved
Love
out with 2 of my other drug dealer friends.
Okay.
And then that next year of my life was kind of like I guess, the most successful drug dealing year of my life.
Trap house.
Yeah, in a sense. Well, not even. The trap house was more my apartment years. Once I
got
got that house, kind of leveled up, like you said, selling thousands.
Right.
Like I slowly but surely got to the point where I was getting 4,000 or 5,000 pills, and then I'd just give one of my friends 1,000, the other friend 1,000, the other friend 1,000.
So today you're doing like 50,000, 100,000 lots of pills, right?
By those, no, not even.
Now, I mean.
Oh, now, come on, bro.
Well, what happens? Something happens. You're at the 4-bedroom house in Kendall. What happens?
So I stay there. Like I said, 2011, 2012, 2010, 2011 were my best years. You know, that's when I was actually doing the least amount of work, because you know, the more money you start making, the least work you start making, in a sense.
Well, you have to revisit that, but okay.
I will. I mean, like when you level up in
the more I make, the harder I work
for you.
The more I work, the harder I work.
Well, I had people work for me in a sense, and then at least in that lifestyle. And then those years were just very like vacation oriented and party oriented.
Because you never had this kind of money. It was a one-off thing in your life.
Yeah. And then 2000.
And how old are you at this time?
21.
Oh, you're a child.
Yeah, 20, 21, 22.
Well, I forget how young you are. Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
So I had a friend from Gainesville that I became close to when I was living there. When I moved back to Miami and started dealing, I would give her Molly, and she would go back up to Gainesville and sell it. You know, so she was a customer that I had for a while.
Okay.
And then about a year and a half later, her and her boyfriend ended up getting caught. And then they
got arrested.
They got arrested over there in Gainesville. And she was about to graduate. So the cops gave her, you know, an alternative. If you snitch on some people, nothing will happen to you. You'll be able to graduate. Everything will be fine.
Really?
And she ended up snitching on not only myself, but a couple other guys in Miami. But the crazy part about it is when she tried to set me up, it ended up falling on one of my friends, because when she came to buy from me, I was done. I didn't have any. And it's crazy because I actually didn't want to go back into selling anymore. At that point, I had, you know, probably $100,000 saved cash. I was like thinking, okay, let me take this money and do something with it. I don't want to really sell anymore. I was tired from the year that I just had. And then she hits me up for that one final sale.
Oh, boy.
And then I didn't have any, so I sent her to my friend.
Oh, boy. I get it.
And then the cops end up raiding my friend.
Right.
And then they think he thought I was setting him up. Then they all come back to my place. And it was
terrible scene. Right?
It was fucked up. I got charged with like an attempt. I got probation. I didn't get.
You get charged with what?
It was like attempt to distribute. Like I didn't have.
Really?
I wasn't guilty. It was I pleaded no contest, and it was withhold justification.
Yeah, no low contendere.
Yeah, I can't
and then
remember
they withhold
exactly.
as long as you stay good for a year.
Exactly. So then I ended up going on probation. So that next year, I kind of just lay low, and I burned through all the money I saved.
$100,000?
Living the same lifestyle, but like laying low. I guess I don't know. Because remember, I had this house I had to pay for. I was still addicted to the lifestyle, and
Jenny, we should have known that, right? 100 G's. Okay, so then what?
So then comes 2013, and then this is what ends up happening for my downfall, I guess, in that sense. So I run into my old Molly Connect at a Denny's in Kendall. I'll never forget that day. I ran into him, and it was the first time I had seen him since the whole thing happened. And then, you know, we sit down, we talk. I told him, look, don't worry. I never told on you. I never snitched. I never told him anything. Everything's good. Whatever. He's like, all right, we exchanged numbers, and that was it. I go back, live my regular life. About like a month later or a few weeks later, he hits me up.
Okay.
And then he says, hey, you know, I got some work. You know, he's doing something now. He's importing kilos of Molly. And at that point now, I'm kind of broke. You know, I'm pretty much running through all the money that I had saved.
Right.
I needed something. And instead of working, you know, I was kind of addicted to that lifestyle. That's pretty much all I knew for a sense.
I get it.
And so we met up. We started talking. What's up? How could I help you? So then I pretty much took the role of the middleman. I was middlemaning. He would import kilos, and then I would middleman that to old customers that I knew or people that I knew.
Okay. Size, right?
Yeah. It was all kilos. I say I would get it for him for like $3,000, and then I would sell it for $5,000, and then make a little $2,000 in between. And like that, I was just surviving off of it, you know. And then I ended up doing that for about like 4 or 5 months, and then we kind of went through a fallout. You know, I went through a fallout with him and the other people that were working in the organization that we created, I guess.
Right.
Because our minds weren't set the same. You know, they were kind of a little bit more on the greedy side. And if you know something about me, I've always been very giving. You know, even when I was a drug dealer, my whole life, anyone you know who will tell you about me back in the day when I sold pot and everything, I never stole from anyone. I never slacked anyone. I always hooked everybody up. I always made sure I got the best quality so I can give the best quality. You know, for me, drug dealing was never even about the money. Even when I had money, I was paying for the checks every time we went to eat. I would buy the bottles every time we went to the clubs. You know, like
It's a lifestyle.
it was exactly.
I
It was
love
me
it.
for
I was in lifestyle myself, so I know. You weren't even born yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was very active in that world. So you know, I never got
So
caught.
then-
I never got caught.
Yeah, thank God.
Well, no,
But not really, because it's the best thing that ever happened to
and
me.
it
Like,
comes back to you.
Yeah,
It comes
of course.
back to
It
you.
always comes
Look,
back one way
what
or
happened
another.
to me?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
ended up going to jail for something I didn't do. That didn't happen.
So you
Can
did get caught.
imagine?
So you
It's
did
a
get
crazy
caught
thing.
for something else.
It's calm as a bitch.
But so we go for like, you know, a hard maybe 4 or 5 months that I was with them. And then around May of 2013, I had a fallout with them just because we weren't on the same page.
Right.
And then also I was going through a breakup. At that time, I had been dating a girl for 5 years that we had just broken up in the beginning of 2013. So I was going through a breakup,
What was her name?
Gabby. And then my name was Gabby as well. And we
That's
used
what
to
they
go
call
by
you, right?
Gabby and
Gabby.
Gabby. Yeah, so that I went.
See, when I
back
got
in
to
the
know
day.
you, a lot of the people from your life still call you Gabby.
Yeah, they still do to this day.
And it's not wrong. You are Gabby.
I mean, I guess.
I get it.
Yeah, I've been.
You'll always be
I went
Gabby
from
to
Gabby,
Mom
and even now that I'm back playing hockey again, a lot of the guys from the hockey rink, pretty much all of them, still call me Gabby.
All right.
'Cause that's all they know me as.
So now what happens? Where are we?
So we go back. So yeah,
There's a fallout.
Yeah, there's a fallout between all of us. We were different pages. I kind of was going through my own little, you know, demons myself. That second half of 2013 was probably the darkest time of my entire life. You know,
Wow.
I went through what I went through with these guys for 5 months. I broke up with the girlfriend I was with. Oh, I didn't break up with her, but we had the fallout of my girlfriend of 5 years. And then I started dating this girl that kind of I had been seeing. And it was just kind of like a spiral effect because we were both, how can I say, just getting fucked up every single day. You know, like that time was like when I've tried the most drugs, did the most drugs.
What was her name?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
But yeah, we just went through like a crazy time. You know, that's end of the summer 2013 to the end of 2013. I went through the craziest time of
Go
my
ahead.
life.
Now?
Then 2014 is kind of when I went through like the life change. 2014.
Me too. I went to prison. What happened to you before the
2014, I went through like a whole life change. I remember it was around New Year's 2014 where I was thinking to myself, like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You know, I've always been a good person, you know, at heart. I've always excelled at almost everything I did, whether it was sports, video games, like anything I put my mind to, I was always really good at. And I'm over here just pissing my life away, doing drugs and getting fucked up and partying. You know, like, what am I doing?
Right.
So in 2014, I kind of went through that life change. You know, I went through that switch. I spent all 2014 changing. I started working again, went back into the service industry at restaurants, sobered up. You know, I quit smoking weed. And then at the end of 2014, me and my mom made the decision to get a condo in Orlando and just leave Miami. You know, because Miami still had so many temptations, so many people that I used to mess with. And then I moved to Orlando 2015, left everything behind, left everyone. Moved over there. I started studying. I went to Full Sail University for music production. You know, so I've always been, I mean, me, myself, I haven't done that much music before in my life, but I've always been around music, you know, and then I did some band in school. And then I come from a musical family, my stepdad, my real dad, my mom. So when I went after this whole kind of drug dealing phase that I went through, we decided, I mean, my stepdad actually was like, look, you have such a great ear for music. Like music is something you have naturally.
This is the guy that won 4 Grammys.
Yeah.
He was
about to
nominated
win
for
his
12.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a rock star.
Yeah.
Your
So
stepfather.
he recommended maybe I should just go study music. And then when I finish, you know, he can plug me up. He can help me out, maybe get something in the music industry as a producer or something like that, right?
I love it.
So I go to Orlando 2015. I live over there, and everything's going great. You know, I sobered up. I'm working, going to school. You know, completely changed my life. I'm not associated with anybody from my past. I mean, anyone from that past life.
I get it.
Obviously, I still have my other friends, and everything's going great. And then I remember in 2016, a year later, my friend sends me a newspaper article that has on the front page Mali invasion. And Mali invasion, and then it has pictures of a bunch of people on the top.
Right.
And in those pictures, I see my boss, my old boss, the guy that I used to work for, plus a couple other guys that I know. And then I go and start reading the article, and it's talking about this guy.
They all got arrested.
Yeah, they all got arrested. They busted all of them. It's talking about the main guy who was my main boss. I'm going through it. It's talking about everything about him, his history, this and that, and how he got sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. And in my mind, I'm like, whew, you know, like I dodged the bullet.
Right.
I dodged the bullet. I had been out since 2013. Here we are in 2016.
Yeah, not so quick though.
I'm like, I dodged the bullet. Like, thank God.
Then what happens?
So then the end of that summer, 2016, I have someone call me who was a part of the organization. And he said, hey, the feds are calling me. They're calling me to investigate this other guy, Lewis. This other guy, Lewis, who at that time, you know, I was the one who introduced him to the group. We were kind of at the same level, but then I left the group and he kept going. And he kind of took over one of those top positions. So the feds started investigating Lewis. And what had happened was they offered him with a 4-year plea deal. That's what they offered with him initially. It was a 4-year plea deal. He's a very stubborn cat. And he said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to trial. So when he decided to go to trial, they opened up the case and they started looking for everyone and interrogating and investigating on all the lower level people. You know, the people who were...
I get it.
All the lower level people. And my friend was one of them. So they called him to investigate about Lewis. And then they had him go in for an interrogation to try to get, you know, more dirt on Lewis. When that happened, since they had opened up the case, everyone started telling them about me, and the prosecutor and the feds started understanding who I was in the whole operation. When at first they had no idea who I was.
I get it.
No idea who I was. So then after my friend called me, he told me, hey, the feds want to talk to you too. They want to talk to you. They want to investigate you, interrogate you about Lewis. I'm like, all right. I lawyered up, got my lawyer to call them. However it happened, I came down to Miami, and, you know, it was the FBI, Homeland Security, prosecutor, DEA. It was for them, me and my attorney. And they were going ahead and showing me pictures, showing me this, asking me questions. The truth of the matter is that I didn't really know almost anything they were asking me, because my involvement was for those few months in the beginning of 2013.
I get it.
What they were asking me was things that were happening 2014, 15, everything else that I had no idea. And then even the things that they were, I mean, I'm just not cut like that. You know that. I always believe, don't serve the crime if you can't commit the time, or don't commit the crime if you can't serve the time. You know, I mean, you're never going to gain anything from hurting anyone else. You know, I'm a firm believer of that.
I believe that as well.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Let's move the story.
Yeah. So I kept my mouth shut through it all. Then after the second interrogation I had with them, they kind of told me that after they're done with Lewis, they're going to come after me. And then after that is when I asked my attorney, like, damn, is this like really happening? And he's like, oh, you heard the prosecutor. You know, so I went back to Orlando, and now I live kind of the next year and a half.
So terrible.
Year and a half.
Scary.
Well, they said it was going to be a few months. The prosecutor literally said, hey, we're coming after you in a few months. And I asked her, I'm like, should I finish my school? I had a year left to get my bachelor's in music production. And she said, don't even waste your money. We're coming after you in a couple months.
Lovely people.
I go back, drop out of school. Now I'm thinking, well, I only have a couple months
You're
left.
in limbo.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm only have a couple. So, I just start having fun, going to my friends, doing activities, however it is.
Terrible.
And it ends up stretching out to a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then eventually sentencing comes. The sentencing process.
You get charged.
Yeah.
At one point, you get charged.
Yeah, I got charged after like a year and a half. Like,
and you're out on what they call pretrial, correct?
Pretrial probation.
That's like bail.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you have your little probation officer.
Did you have to put any bail up or no?
No. It was one of the, you go to the marshal, they sign you in,
Right.
and you kind of citizens bond or something like that.
Right. So you're out, but you've been charged with a crime. What were you charged with?
It was all conspiracy. It was conspiracy to import, conspiracy to money launder, and conspiracy for distribution.
Mr. Molly. I'm sitting with Mr. Molly right now.
Yeah.
Mr. Molly.
I mean,
man, it's horrible, right? It's much worse going through this than actually going in prison. I hate to say it.
and like conspiracy is the craziest thing, because they were charging me with 100 kilos. You know, like it had nothing to do with the 5 months that I spent doing what I was doing. In a conspiracy, they charge
Criminal justice system is disgusting.
from what everybody's doing.
It's corrupt. It's crooked. It had nothing to do with the reality, but this is our life in America. The DOJ is out of control. It is horrible. So now what happens? You actually make a plea deal, correct?
Yeah.
And what was the deal?
Well, the plea deal was my sentencing guidelines ended up, well, they dropped it to 35 kilos. You know, they dropped the charges.
Well,
it was,
you made
it was
a
actually
plea-
7 charges.
Was you made a plea
8
deal?
charges.
If you went to trial, they would have charged you with 1,800 kilos.
Well, it's funny, talk about trial, because the guy, Lewis, who wanted to go to trial, who opened up the whole case for everybody, ended up not going to trial.
And what did he end up getting?
He took a plea deal for 10 years.
Wow.
So
you're
from the
looking at
4
10
years, years that would have just been him and nobody else,
Right.
he opens up the investigation.
Cooperating
They
against
get
everybody.
me, they get somebody else, they get somebody else.
Right.
He takes a 10-year plea deal. He gets out in 2 years for cooperating against everyone
Okay.
else. And then me and this other guy, who were probably the smallest amount of time.
Correct. The smallest
He got
guy.
7 years, and then I got 11 years.
You got 11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got sentenced to 132 months in federal prison.
Disgusting. And you made a plea deal.
And my
If you
actual,
went to trial, you would have probably got 20.
well, my guidelines were 20. My guidelines were 230 to 260.
Wow.
And it's crazy because in
I
that,
didn't know you were such a dangerous guy. It's crazy.
no, it's funny.
The whole thing is so crazy. My guidelines were life.
20 years for something I did for 5 months.
Yeah, well,
And I mean,
we could go on and on about this, but
Yeah.
will there ever be reform? I hope so, but I don't know. It's so
We'll see.
horrible. I believe that you should, if you commit a crime, you should do time. But they're so out of control with this stuff. Although listen, what if you're selling Molly and you think it's Molly and it's really fentanyl and
yeah, no, it's
and
true.
people are dying and that happens every day now. I mean, it's I understand both sides of the coin.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm sure you know how it is with the whole system is for the sentencing and all that. But the prosecutor, there are many things that she said to try to make me look like a worse person.
Of course they
And
do.
that's one of them. There was one
They
thing,
just lie.
There was one thing
They
she
make
said
shit up.
about a death that happened in Tallahassee, and that they don't have any evidence about it, but that she believes that if they did go look further into it, they would connect the death that happened in Tallahassee to the organization that I just
Now you're a murderer.
Exactly.
They'll charge you with murder. I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and you were doing something wrong, but you got a taste for the money, and it's very hard because you can't get that money doing anything else but the stock market. That's how I ended up with the stock market, because I was doing drugs and I was living that life, and it's expensive to be a player, and I was a lousy drug dealer because I like to use the product. And so I found Wall Street and now crypto. Love it.
Yeah.
But so now you go to prison. So what was that like?
So
Because I know you had a very unique way in
a
prison.
very unique experience in prison. Luckily for me, I had made the change before I even got locked up. Most people kind of get arrested when they're kind of still living that same criminal lifestyle. I had moved to Orlando, changed my life. And then now I'm going into prison with a completely different mindset.
I'm not convinced you changed your life. I think you made changes.
Well, yeah.
But
made
you
changes.
were out running around, using women, using alcohol, acting out.
Well, all that was after I found out I was going to prison.
But you were acting out in what I call a very unhealthy way. In prison, you actually lived a pretty healthy
1,000%.
lifestyle. I'm a witness to that.
Yeah, but it happened since day one. I kind of was living that lifestyle because I knew prison was
Well,
coming.
I know because I saw you write, letters you wrote.
So
and
in my
songs you wrote.
mind, I'm thinking, okay, I have this much time to go to prison. Let me just have fun. And the second I go to prison, I'm starting from day one. So I went in to prison with a completely different mindset than most people. For me, it was like a training camp. I say this now, and I'll probably say this again at the end of this podcast.
You said it's the best thing that ever happened to you.
Was the best thing that ever happened to me. I repeat, going to prison was the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me what most people don't have here on the outside, and that's time. In a sense, it takes a lot away from you, but it gives you a lot of time for yourself, for your mind, to be able to read, to be able to study.
It takes away all the distractions.
Exactly.
You don't have women running around. You don't have open bars, and you don't have drug dealers.
There's still,
there's a lot of temptations.
there's still a lot of distractions
there's
in there.
a lot of temptations. You can always find that.
Yeah, but for me,
much less.
So yeah, from day one, I took it as a personal training camp.
Yes, you did.
Personal training, spiritual development. I started a lot of things that I had never done in my life before. Reading was one of them. Yeah, I hated
languages.
reading. I grew up a person that I just never wanted to read. Reading was my worst subject. Literature was my worst subject. I was a math guy. I always excelled in math. Reading, I probably read one book in my entire life, the book called Holes.
But
I
watched you write a lot. You journaled a lot.
Yeah.
But pretty much every day.
Every day. And that was another thing I didn't like to do either.
I was very impressed with that.
I journaled from day one to the last day of prison.
Every day.
Every single day that I was
I'm in
there.
some of those journals, huh?
No, 1,000%.
Damn.
You're in.
Jenny, we got to destroy that paperwork.
You know, those 5 months that we spent, you're in
Killing me.
every
I wanted
day.
to kill him. Terrible.
But it was more for the exercise. You know, for me, a lot of the things that I did, the reading, the journaling, the yoga, the meditating, you know, the helping people, the training, the personal training, it was all for the exercise. For me, going to prison was to get into the best shape of my
discipline.
life.
It was discipline.
Both of it.
You were very disciplined. 3 o'clock, I knew you were sitting there in the room, in the rec room, writing in your journal. I wanted to kill you. I had other things in mind.
And imagine, you met me, you know, towards the end, already 4 years in, 4 years something in. But I maintained that structure from day one.
But also vice versa.
Yeah, no, of
you
course.
met me at my end. I was
at
in
the end,
9 years, 4 months, bro.
And I remember in my first spot, it was Edgefield, South Carolina.
Yes.
And my first spot, my first cellie, big guy, tall guy called Matt. He had already been down for like 3-4 years. And he saw how I was living. He saw how I was wake up early, run, do this, do that.
Right.
He told me, he's like, watch, you just got here. Give it like a year. You're going to burn out.
The opposite happened.
The opposite happened.
Right.
There was no burnout. I kept going and going and going, and it became an addiction. It became a routine. It became a lifestyle.
So I want you to know, as an older guy who's been around men his whole life, there was a time I was a young man. I was a player. And then middle-aged man. I'm now sober. I've got a family. Now as an older guy who's always been very productive. Prison was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I could have done without it, especially because I was separated from my wife and my children. That was very hard for me when you have children and my dogs.
Yeah, that was one thing that
left.
For me, I was kind of, I guess, blessed in that sense that I didn't have any children.
It's a blessing to have them because when you're there, you say, holy Christ, this could, if I you know, you worry you're going to die in prison when you're older. No medical attention, etc. At least I have a magnificent woman leaving behind with my name, and she, you know, we have shared a heart, one soul, and we have 2 beautiful daughters and all that. So, you know, the older guys that were in prison, they didn't have people that loved them as they loved. They didn't have children. Then it becomes like it's very, very hard. But I watched you, and I watched the growth and who you were, and I used to say to myself, you know, I respect all that, and I respect what you do today with the yoga and the running and the training and how you've influenced Jenny and you've influenced Evans and some other heavyset woman that runs around you guys and a couple of different guys and what you tried to do with Eli, etc. And it's very admirable. Okay, it's very, very admirable. You have a winner's mindset. Mostly. You're still missing a few ingredients that are very, very important, in my opinion. It's my opinion. But one thing I saw in prison, one day you took out a guitar. Let's talk about that.
So yeah, like I say, prison was all training for me. And one of the things that I developed in prison was the guitar skill.
Tell the story about meeting Eli and what happened.
So
it's a great story.
One of the craziest things that happened to me was embarking in this music career in prison. You know, for me, going to prison was, in a sense, I had to kind of like kill myself. And I say that by killing who I thought I was, killing all the things that I thought I knew, because obviously I'm in prison. So obviously there's something that I wasn't doing right. So then I kind of stripped everything down and just started reading, started studying, reading all these spirituality books, personal growth books, learning from the greater minds and applying that to my life. And then I also devoted and dedicated myself to helping others. You know, that was one of the things before I went to prison I said I was going to do, you know, become the ultimate life coach, you know, just be someone that can help other people change their lives, get in shape, break addictions, things that I had helped friends do before I went to prison. So I feel like once I went to prison and kind of embarked in that journey, then the whole music thing started coming for me. You know, I had my mom send me a guitar book my first year in prison for my birthday. It was the only guitar book you'll ever need. And
that's what it's called?
That's what it's called. The only guitar book you'll ever need. And it talks about everything about a guitar, from how it's made to the chords to everything, the theory, everything. So I would spend 2-3 hours a day in the rec room playing guitar because they had guitars there. So I would go whenever I could, 2-3 hours a day just playing guitar. And one of the things that really helped me was I played a lot of Guitar Hero growing up. I don't know if you know the game Guitar Hero.
I'm familiar with it
Yeah.
only from watching guys play it in the movies. I've never actually seen it.
So growing up when I was 15, 16, 17, I used to play a lot of Guitar Hero. And in a sense, you gain kind of, the motions.
Right.
So when I started playing the guitar, I actually picked it up really quick. I started in October, November, and December, someone from the RDAP program, which is a drug program in prison.
It's a drug treatment program. You take that to get early release, and it's a very good program, actually.
So someone in the RDAP program that had seen my, improvements in the guitar, he asked me if I can go perform for their first Friday of December. And that was the first time that I would be performing in front of people. So it was me and my best friend at that time, a Russian guy who was playing the bass. And we go and we perform. I did like a 6-song mashup. And I'll never forget, I kind of like blacked out when it happened. I had my music stand here. I'm playing. I'm staring at the stand. I couldn't even look at people. It was 130 inmates plus the COs. It was packed. And I'm just playing and singing. And then after I'm done, I got a standing ovation. A bunch of criminals, a bunch of men, standing up to me singing my fucking pop songs or whatever covers hip hop songs that I was doing. Like, to me, it was crazy.
It's like wild, right?
Wild. And then after that, like, I'm walking around the compound and people are coming up to me like, hey, is this what you were doing on the street? Like, how long have you been doing this? I'm like, man.
Just you?
Yeah, it was just me and then Vladimir playing the bass.
Did you sing?
Yeah, I sang and I played.
Did he sing?
No. I just played the guitar.
Alone on the guitar?
Yeah.
Acoustic guitar, right?
Acoustic
See,
guitar.
I believe that's still your best. I think that is, you are absolutely a rock star. To get through to you, it's very tough. You have your own ideas, but I'm letting you know, you alone with an acoustic guitar could have a stadium. You could hear a pin drop. I'm telling you. Go ahead.
So that was definitely
That's your first time ever performing.
That was like the biggest motivator.
You're only playing in less than 3 months.
Imagine.
Zero.
I mean, praise is one of the best motivators we can give. That's why I'm so good. I'm so big on giving praise. Because a lot of people growing up get shut down by friends, even by family members.
Terrible. Negative reinforcement.
Negative reinforcement, and it's crazy. So for me to be in prison and get all this praise from a bunch of grown men was like, I'm like, all right, let me keep going. So then now I'm start playing. I do a concert for RDAP, and then like a month or two later, Eli comes in. And then Eli is a guy from Miami who had done music before on the streets. And he wanted to learn the guitar. He had came one day to my guitar class a couple days after he got there. And we instantly connected. We had similar interests, sports. I told him, I'm like, you want to start training? Come train with me. The next day we woke up, we started training. Long story short, we became best. We connected. We became
a great personality.
Yeah, we became really close, became best friends, started hanging out every day. I taught him the way that I learned to play the guitar. And then he would spend 3 hours a day just there playing. Then like a month or two later, Eli tells me, he's like, hey, we should write a song. And at first I was a little skeptical because I wanted to get better at the craft. But then I was like, you know what, Eli, come on, let's do it. Let's write a song. So we wrote a song and it's called Family. Family was the first song we ever wrote. I know there's some people out there familiar. I know
you know what? We made a mistake. I should have had you bring your guitar and play. Oof. That was a big mistake. We're going to do that again, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
This is really incomplete because you want a guitar. We could have done that right in here.
That would have been nice.
All right, we'll have to revisit that. But I mean,
so yeah,
that song is absolutely one of the most emotional moments I had in prison, and that's saying a lot. I've had plenty of emotional.
And you yourself, you witnessed me singing that song for other people and putting tears.
I watched people cry, grown men, literally, and even in your backyard, post prison, putting on your little concerts, I watched people just choke up. I watched Stephanie choke up. My kids. I mean, it's just like it's an incredible song when it's done the right way, when it's framed the right way. It's almost incomparable. I mean that sincerely.
So imagine we write this song called Family. It was the first song we had ever written together. It's one of the first songs I've ever wrote in my life. And we invited this older guy named George. He was a good friend of ours from Miami.
I know the story.
Yeah, he comes into the library and we play it for him and he starts bawling. And I don't mean just, I mean,
I get it.
Hard. He's an older guy, family guy. He got, a little white collar, shorter sentence, but he was bawling. And then I remember he left the library and I turned to Eli and I'm like, Eli, do you see what we just did with something we just wrote? I'm like, this is why God brought us to prison.
You know the song, right?
Family?
Yeah.
Of course I know this song.
Could you do a cappella?
You want me to acapella the song Family?
Right now, just give it a little try. Let's go.
All right. I'll do the first verse and the
Let's
chorus.
just do a little bit. Come on.
All right. I spent so much time away from home, sitting in my cell all alone. I've had so much time to think about what's important, what I really miss. With every single second we spend apart, I realize what I've known from the start. My family has every single piece of my heart. No matter where I am, no matter where I go, you're always in my heart. And I'll be back before you know. Said no matter where I go, no matter where I am, you're always on my mind. And I'll come back a better man. Something like that.
I mean, I just put him on the spot. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's with just a little acoustic guitar, it really elevates it even more. But that was fantastic. Thank you, bro. I feel like clapping, but I ruined the camera.
No, you're good. You're good.
So now you and Eli have written your first song.
Yeah.
People are just reacting. You intuitively knew it was amazing, right?
Yeah. No, we can feel it. We can feel energy never lies. You know that part.
I do
Energy
know
never
that.
lies.
That's
So
my
the
whole
energy
thing.
we were getting from people when we sing it to them was crazy. And then from there again, praise is motivation.
Correct.
So from that praise, we just carried that and it motivated us and we ran with it. And then within 5-6 months, we had like 30 songs.
Including some of my favorites, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rich Life. I mean, so many great songs that really touched me because that's my story, A Rich Life. And so you now are committed with Eli. You've written like 100 songs and you're playing together with each other. And G and Eli is formed.
Yeah, G and Eli was formed 2019.
Now, at some point, you guys get caught with cell phones or drugs.
Yeah, well, what happened was there was a cell phone that was caught that had a video of us. They didn't really catch us with the phone.
Right.
They caught it in one of the stashes they had. And
I understand.
They sent it out to get, cracked and opened. And they...
you got arrested.
Yeah.
You got arrested in prison.
Yeah, we went to
violating
jail
the
in
rules.
prison.
Right.
Yeah, we got locked
Prison
up
in prison.
getting locked up.
So now they put you in a horrible. The shoe is, you're denied a lot of different...
Solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Solitary confinement. Luckily, we had cellmates. It was 2 of us. And luckily, me and Eli ended up still being cellies when we were in the shoe.
And what happened in solitary, in jail?
All right, believe it or not, and I say this as well, those 2 months we spent, the 2 months I spent in solitary confinement
Right.
was the most growth that I've ever achieved in 2 months, spiritually and mentally.
We might have to, bring you back to the shoe.
No, it's because I firmly believe when all choices are taken, the perfect path remains, and I had already been in prison for 1.5 years, so I'd already developed this routine and structure, which I took to me in the shoe. I can confidently say there's not many people, if any, who were doing what I was doing in the shoe. And Eli could tell you, we were still working out every single day. I was eating 6
Now,
times
you
a
were
day.
locked in a room, right?
Locked in a room.
Explain to people what it is.
So the shoe is a room probably about as big as this. Has
People can't see that.
All right, so it's a bunk bed, a shower right next to it.
It's like
and a toilet.
65 square feet.
Yeah.
66
like
square
9 by
feet.
10. 9 by
Let's say 80, 90 square feet. With a toilet right in the middle, right?
Toilet right in the middle, barely any space.
Did you have a
bunk
shower in there?
bed, a shower.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys
and,
can shower
and a little
together.
desk and a little table.
We're just playing.
But no, for me it was the same thing. Obviously when we first got in there, we were a little upset about how things had gone down. But
upset. Bro, you got marks on you now. You're elevated to security risks, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah, but
You're going to get transferred because of that.
transferred.
People don't understand this, but now you have violated. You're at a low.
We were in a camp and then we
We're
were
in
in a
camp. Now they're going to send you to a low. So you go from a minimum security to a low security. You got to be shipped somewhere. It includes transportation, buses, and then your record is marked. You've now violated. You've committed a crime in prison, and it's not a big crime. Now you don't go to court for that.
But you see, when that happened to me, none of that stuff was thinking.
I understand, but these are all things that are important in the real world.
Yeah.
And but you're now locked in with this guy, and you got a chance. You have even less interruption. They eat your food in your cell.
Yeah, everything was there. We didn't even go to the little rec they had. We were
Right.
locked in that room for the first 40-something day. Like, it was 2 months in total that we were in the shoe.
For people listening, it's hard time.
Yeah,
This is hard time.
yeah.
I never got to the shoe, but I was in solitary in the building, no fault of my own. So go ahead, tell us what happened.
No, well, in there, again, I luckily had developed this routine and structure that I had before, so I took it with us while we were in there.
You're writing songs in the
Yeah,
show.
we were working on music. We were reading every single day. So a book, the bookshelf would come by the book cart would come by every once in a while. We'd exchange books.
But you're still locked in the cell.
Yeah, everything was locked in the cell.
You never get out of the cell. You never see the sun.
Never left the cell.
How long were you in that cell?
2 months.
For most people, that's crazy.
Yeah, 2 months. I mean,
And
there are
the
people
food
there
is-
for 10 months, 11
Right,
months,
and the
2
food
years.
is terrible, right?
Yeah. But so for the food, we would get the food and we would divide the food in half. So I would get every morning we'd have for breakfast, we'd
Right.
get cereal and milk.
Right.
We'd open the milk carton and save half the food. And then we'd keep the milk cartons to save half our meals. So we were still eating 6 times a day. So I continued to have my 6 meals a day routine. We were still working out 5 days a week. I was doing yoga twice a day. I started doing breathing techniques twice a day and meditating twice a day. You know,
I was taking a lot of naps, everybody. I just want you all to know. When he would allow me to sleep, I would take a nap. But
so yeah, that's why I say I achieved the most growth in those 2 months.
how many songs did you write?
While we were
in the
there,
shoe?
in the shoe, I mean, not
You wrote a couple of big hits.
full songs.
Couple of hits.
Yeah, Sunset Eyes
Which
could
is
have
my
been
least favorite one.
but it's still a good one. I mean, like full songs, we only wrote a couple, but
Okay.
we had a whole bunch of like.
And you got to
verses.
rehearse a lot.
Yeah,
You practice
we would
singing.
And a funny thing about the shoe too is every cell's right next to each other, and
Right.
also you hear what's
Everybody
going-
hears everything.
Yeah, everyone hears everything. And
Guy goes to
one
the
of our
bathroom and
neighbors,
the whole place
one of
hears.
our neighbors told me, he's like, "Hey, most times people come in the shoe, and if they start singing something, everyone's telling them, shut the fuck
Shut the
up,
fuck up.
you guys suck, whatever." But people would request us. Like
How
you
crazy.
sometimes would hear people, "Hey, G and Eli, hey,
That's-
Jeanette, yo, sing Mary Jane," or like, "Yo, sing Rich Life." Like we would actually get requested sometimes to sing songs, which is
I love it. That's so great.
Yeah.
So now go ahead. So you and Eli, what happens? You get shipped?
We get shipped, and that's just another crazy thing that happened, that we ended up getting shipped to the same prison.
Where'd
we
you
were
go
both
next?
on the same shot, the same disciplinary write-up, both
Right.
of our names.
Which is a
We were
million to one. It
Yeah, we
never
were supposed to
happens.
get split.
It never happens that
we
way.
ended up getting sent to the same prison. When that happened, I told Eli, I'm like, look, this was meant to be, bro. We got to go now. We're going to Yazoo City, Mississippi. They call it the zoo.
From like
it's
Edgewater?
Edgefield.
Where-
Edgefield,
where's
South
that?
Carolina,
So from South Carolina.
to Yazoo City, Mississippi.
Okay. You don't go straight there, right? Do you stop at
No.
Oklahoma?
No, we stopped at Atlanta,
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
and then Oklahoma, and then there.
so
and
that
there was a
how
bus
long was
to
that?
Atlanta.
That whole
3 months.
3 months you're traveling
Yeah, like two to 3
to
months.
go like what would be a half-hour plane ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sick. You've been in the bus before, right?
Unfortunately, that's how I got to meet you.
And I'm
was
not
locked
I'm not
in on
the
a
tallest or
bus.
biggest guy, and even for me, I'm like this.
Can you
know,
imagine?
I'm like,
imagine an old guy like me,
anyone else.
chained up, boxed down.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's how I got to see you in Coleman. They put me
Yeah.
in chains and set me on a bus. Everybody was going to the penitentiary. Only me and one other guy were going to the camp. It was a rough ride. We had a riot on the bus. They had to stop the bus, and the marshals had to come. And they stormed the bus. Oh, you don't even know it's the whole story. So go ahead now. So you now are in transport.
Yeah.
I know some things happened when you got to Atlanta, right? You got to
Yeah.
perform some
We
songs.
go to Atlanta, and again, we were there for about a week and a half. And when we were there, we were doing the same thing, you know, keeping up with our yoga, keeping up with the reading, working out whenever we could. And we ran into this one guy, Shaky G. Shaky G is a gangster disciple. He was supposedly one of the, top gangster disciples in the federal system. He was a head orderly there. He was a head orderly. He had cell phones there. The guards were treating him like a king there.
I get it. Atlanta, they all got arrested. All the guards got arrested.
Yeah,
there,
he was there treating him like a king there.
Yeah.
So one day, we threw on like a little concert outside in the little rec. They have a small little rec yard. It's fenced in. And G and Eli threw on a little concert. And this was, 20, 30 people that we had no idea. Like in transit.
You
like
were
you
in
said,
transit.
yeah. In transit, people,
Every day you're meeting new
no
people.
one who knew us.
Nobody knows anybody.
Nobody
right?
knew.
I get it. But you're
And-
still with Eli. It's great.
And again, the praise we got from these people, like we had songs that were putting guys to tears. We had songs that were getting guys excited, songs having guys moving. And all this is just G and Eli, a cappella, no guitar,
Oh, no guitar?
no guitar.
Wow.
Just a cappella, us and our harmonies singing
We should
to a
have
bunch
Eli
of
here.
grown, criminals, convicts, felons, and making them feel, making them feel,
and
making them
hardcore guys. You're not
Yeah.
with what we, there's no security difference.
Yeah.
When
And
you're
the
in transit, they
transits.
put you with
Yeah.
penitentiary guys, with camp guys, school teachers that cheat on their taxes, locked up with mass murderers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Guy cheated on his taxes and he's sitting next
So
to a guy
then-
that kills people.
One of the guys who had heard us the next day, he introduced us to that guy, Shaky G, I was talking about. We go out to the side. He's over there, just smoking a cigarette, hanging out, and tells us who he is, the connections he has, whatever. He has us sing for him. We go, we sing a few songs for him. And again, he's like, man, he's been down for however long he's been, blah, blah. He's like, he's never seen talent in prison like he has seen us. He's like, you guys are the real deal. He's like, you guys are the package. You guys look good. Your music is good. And yeah, again, all these things were just, motivators and inspirations.
So let's accelerate. Go through this.
From there, we go in transit to Oklahoma City, OKC. Me and Eli get split apart. This is the first time we're split since we met.
In how long? 2 years?
Not even a year.
Right, but it's every day.
Yeah.
You together every single day.
Yeah, in prison, if you're someone like we were together for 5 months. It felt like a year or two.
It felt to
3
me like
years.
5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Like
when
you're with someone,
5 months, and I spent
when
with
you're
my
with
wife
someone
for 10
in,
years.
exactly. When you're with someone in prison, you spend pretty much all day.
24/7. People don't understand that.
They don't.
In real life, you see someone for an hour, 2 hours. Oh, you met someone, you know them. In prison, it's 24/7. You actually wake up in the morning
and
and go to
bond
bed
with
at
someone.
night.
That's why sometimes the friendships you make, it's like family.
It is like
I feel
family.
like you're my family.
Correct.
We spend time. So we spent that year together. Got split up in OKC. We reconnect back at Yazoo, and then now we get to Yazoo City. It's like 2,000 inmates. It's a bigger prison. In a sense, that kind of excited me in a sense because me, I'm an athlete. I played
Correct.
sports, and prison sports is a big thing.
Right.
And one of the ways I got the most respect I did in my first prison was because I was one of the best athletes in
Correct.
prison.
You're a good athlete.
So
Yeah,
then
and by the way, you speak Spanish. You have the, white guys flock to you, but there's a lot of Spanish speaking inmates. That's all I know how to say. There's just so many Hispanics in the prison system. If you think about how many, just in our little camp, the Mexican guys,
the
the
Mexicans,
Puerto Rican
Puerto
guys,
Ricans, and
Venezuelans,
everyone else.
guys from Colombia, guys from Dominican Republic. I mean, it's just from all
Well,
over.
not many Venezuelans. I think I met like 2 Venezuelans in my entire.
I met a couple.
Maybe like 3.
I
in
met
my
a few, but
entire
you all speak
sentence.
Spanish. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Latino
yeah.
guys all speak.
Yeah.
So you really any of the Spanish speaking guys.
Yeah, I was
You
kind of
fit
that independent guy who was in with
Everybody,
all the
right,
races,
right.
the blacks, the whites, and
You
the
play
Spanish.
ball. A lot of great black athletes in there.
Yeah. So we get to Yazoo, better music, better everything, So we go and we're there for about a month or two. And me and Eli were starting to make waves. We started joining a band. Things were about to start popping off. And then the pandemic hit.
20, boy, that was brutal.
Yeah. Then the pandemic hit. And I know you got to experience some of the pandemic. And the pandemic was rough.
Rough inside.
And me and Eli were in separate, we were in separate units. So at that point, we were all locked down. And that was like the end of G and Eli. We didn't even last a year and a half. That was the end of what we had going on. We were in separate units. Now I spent the next year and a half locked in a unit.
Yep, I know the
During the
feeling.
pandemic.
And so let's keep moving. Keep
Yeah,
moving.
so the pandemic, we all know how bad the pandemic wasn't there. Then I get my points drop again. So I'm trying to get transferred back to a camp.
Right.
I was trying to go back to Miami.
Right.
But when I spoke to my counselor, they said, oh, no, we already have you in for Coleman. And then I'm like, all right. They said it used to be a girls' camp. Now they're changing it to a guys' camp. So I thought, I'm like, oh, cool. It's about to open
in
up.
Florida.
Yeah, it's a new
You're in
camp.
Florida.
It's in Central Florida, which I spent my last 3 years in Orlando
Right
before
by
I went in.
Gainesville. Right.
Exactly. So I was like, fine. I'm like, this is perfect. Let's go. So I ended up getting transferred to Coleman. It's crazy because I was always imagining the kind of life that I wanted when I got to Coleman. Like as far as like becoming a head orderly, I wanted to be in charge of the music, be in charge of the sports. I wanted a window cell, all these things that I was kind of imagining
You
and
accomplished all that.
visualizing. Yeah, there's things that I manifested when I ended up getting to Coleman. I go to Coleman. I was one of the first 100 people there. And yeah, I mean, I spent there 2 years, my last 2 years.
See, what it is, let me explain. So you took on responsibility at Coleman. You were really the head orderly for real. You really it's prison, it's a lot of bullshit stuff, but you just were, at the top of the food chain, so to speak. People loved you. You had access to different things. You accomplished a lot. They even paid you to be the head orderly, right? You got some money for that, right? In prison.
Mhm.
If you don't have money externally or family, you got to work and take jobs and all these kind of things. So you got to meet me and other people like me and guys like Ross Riker and different people when you evolved. And then I know I left. I left in January of 24. No, January of 23.
Three.
And you
I
came
left
out,
in
what, May of
April.
23?
April of 23.
Okay. And so you go home now. You're in home confinement.
Yeah.
You're in Miami. We're in ankle monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And how much time did you have to do after?
So my initial sentence in prison was 11 years. But obviously, you know, with the CARES Act, they're letting people out early if you fit a certain criteria.
We all got very lucky.
Yeah, I got lucky because they
Trump,
closed it.
Thank God for Donald Trump.
They closed the CARES Act in May.
Right.
I got out in April.
Correct.
You know, I dodged a bullet.
The First Step Act and all these, we got the benefit of some of these
But
things.
the thing about getting out, the CARES Act is you still have to serve the remainder of your sentence on home confinement. So I got out in 5 years. So that means I started to do 3.5 because out of the 11, it's 3.5. Excuse me. So I started to do the 3.5 years on home confinement with ankle monitor on.
It was a lot of time.
Yeah. 3.5 years. I mean, I'm free, I'm out, but I'm stuck at home.
You're not free.
Yeah, I can only go to work, go to the gym for an hour, and that's it.
You're out. You're
grocery shopping once a month for an hour. Haircuts once a month for an hour.
I understand all these things. It's crazy.
So when I got out, again, I developed this structure and routine that I've been bringing with me everywhere I go. So I got out and I just kept doing it.
And you had probation following your sentence.
Yeah.
So after the 11 years, you had 3 years probation.
Yeah.
Right. Supervised release, they call it.
So I'm on home confinement now, and well, you were talking about the house shows earlier. So obviously, this is the reintroduction of me and G and Eli again. I see him now for the first time, in 3 years, 3.5 years.
He got out right around the same time.
Yeah, he got out before I did, right before you did. So then I finally see him again for the first time. You know, we reconnect, we start hanging out again, working out, practicing music, making music. So we figured, since I can't go anywhere, let's bring the show to my house, to Marina's house. You know, my mother's house, who she was so kind and open to letting us use a space to throw concerts. So we would gut out the living room, you know, rent chairs, set up chairs, the backyard, turning into like a little vibe, you know, get the bartender, the food, you know, the DJ, whatever we had, and then we'd turn it into like a little event.
Great scene.
And then come that next January, we started doing it every month. Every month. That's when you were finally free off your home confinement, and then you came for, you know, the show at the house. Allegedly. Every month we were doing it, and it was a hit. You know, it was a hit. We would get 30, 40 people there every single time. So obviously some people would come back, but we'd get new people. New people would come.
You got to display your music.
Yeah.
Right? Now, at some point, you go from G and Eli to the Marina Effect.
Yeah.
And so that to me was a shock.
Yeah. It is. So
that was a shock.
It's funny because I'm really not attached to many things. You know, I'm a very go with the flow type of person. Although I'm very structured and routine based as well, I also allow things to flow naturally. You know, I don't like to force things. I don't like to get hung up on things have to be this way.
Right.
No, I allow God or the universe or whatever it is you believe in to kind of show me which way are better to get to where we're going to go, to where I'm going to go. So it was Genie Life for a while. We were throwing these house shows. We were inviting other artists to come perform and open up for us. And then eventually we ended up creating like a bond.
Rhea Monet, Alice Marr. I mean, really talented people. Jenny V.
We had a lot of really good artists come. And then eventually it was December of 2024, where right before President Biden got off, he did the single day largest clemency in the history of the United States.
Amazing luck, right? Wow. Talk about
luck,
right?
So from what I saw 2 years left. I had done 1.5 years.
Chopped off 2 years.
Yeah. And it was from one day to the next. I didn't know. I didn't apply for anything. Nothing. I had my friend Jeremy call me. And he's like, "Hey, you're free.
They're about to do that with probation.
I'm like, "What do you mean I'm free?" He's like, "Gee, you're free." I know, I've heard. So yeah, from one day to the next, it took like a week for the whole process to happen. But
I remember
I became a free man.
Yep, crazy.
I became a free man. It was crazy, and it was.
You still have probation, what they call paper.
Yeah.
Supervised release.
Supervised release. So then I ended up becoming free off of the ankle monitor. Right. And then I remember one day we were at my house rehearsing for like the last show we had, and Evans was saying, "Hey, we should start a band."
Evans, we forgot about Evans.
Yeah. He was like saying, "Hey, let's start a band," and we're like, "All right." And so we started a band with the original 5 that were throwing the house shows.
Who were the 5?
Which was Jenny, Alice Marr, Evans, and G and Eli.
Okay.
you know, and it was us 5.
It's a powerful crew.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
And then we started the band back in December, January, and it went. I mean, you saw the success we had just in a few months. That March, we won the Battle of the Bands Hard Rock at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Won the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, we won it.
At the Hard Rock. I was there.
Yeah, and then that gave us a gig at the Hard Rock. We've performed now at the Hard Rock maybe 3 or 4 times, 2-hour sets of 100% original music.
Yep, I was there.
No other
I'm a witness.
band is doing. Then back in July, we won the Battle of the Bands
again
at Meisner Park in Boca Raton.
Wow.
Right around here.
Wow.
Out of 8 bands. And again, the only band doing 100% originals. And it's just been wild, you know, it's been wild. I've been able to get the life and the routine that I've learned when I was in prison. Everything that I learned, the personal growth of manifesting spirituality and kind of implement it into the Marina Effect and
So
the way
you're
it
still
works.
performing now, correct?
Yeah, performing.
So now
almost
who
every
is in the
single
Marina
weekend.
Effect?
So the Marina Effect has ultimately become G, Jenny, and Evans.
And Eli is
still
in and
part
out.
of, you know, he's still part of the Marina Effect.
Right.
He's part of, you know, he's written a lot of these songs with
he
me.
does. He's a very good songwriter.
Yeah,
it turns
and
out.
he's like a Swiss Army knife. This dude Eli is
Right.
good at so many things.
Right.
You know, he's just so good at so many things.
He's just unfocused.
You know, I mean, things happen.
But I love Eli.
Things happened that ended up separating him from the Marina Effect organically. It wasn't like we kicked him out. It
No, I
wasn't like,
understand.
you know, certain things happened that he ended up removing himself from the
Right.
situation. And then that's kind of when we kind of took off. You know, and then we took off as us
So
3.
what is life like right now for the Marina Effect? Where are you
Life
guys
like
at?
right now is well, we've got a bunch of monthly gigs. You know, we have monthly gigs.
Tell us. Where can we find you?
We're doing Savage Labs once a month here in Wynwood. You know, we do tacos and tattoos once a month down in Kendall. La Mesa, we got once a month or once every other month down in Kendall.
He's around Miami area.
Yeah,
For people
all
to
in
know.
Miami
And
area.
these are paid
And then-
gigs, right?
Yeah, paid gigs. And then we also, you know, do anything. Most of the time, if anyone asks for us to do something, no matter how much it is, you know, from free to paid, depending on what it is, if we're free, we'll do it as well. You know, we love to perform. We love to get out there. Right now, we're in an exposure stage and we're also in a developmental stage.
Okay, so you haven't get to the studio yet. You haven't produced an album yet. But
Well,
not yet.
actually, October, we started hitting the studio. Shout out to Casa Breezy, Casa Studios. We started working with different producers, and we've actually done 4 songs now in October, which you don't really know about. But
No, I do not know.
Before I leave, I'm going to show you something.
Will
We
they
started,
be released sometime? Or is it going to be something?
2026, we're going to start releasing. You know,
Okay.
2026, we're going to start releasing. Like I said, 2025 was a big developmental stage
I
for us.
This is
A
what
lot of people
happens.
who have met us even say it because it's crazy. Because right now, it's kind of a rat race with everyone just releasing with no real development and structure. And kind of what we've been doing with the Marina Effect is developing ourselves. You've seen the transformation that's gone with Jenny, with Evans, with
Yeah.
the people in our group. You know, they've turned from, you know, we were good at music to now we're looking like superstars. Now they're all looking and sounding better. We're performing better. You know, it's
I
all.
understand. Listen, it takes years and years to be overnight success. That's the funny thing. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
You come out of nowhere. People are coming at me. All of a sudden, I'm like this big Wall Street guy. I'm like, bro, I've been doing this 45 years.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now they're noticing me because I've been consistent. I show up. I produce content. But we're going to hear some big things are coming from Marina Effect. Is that-
1,000%. The Marina Effect, I mean, you know from where it was birthed. You know where
I
it
got it.
started. And it's been a long time coming. And
I know
all
all the
these
players.
past 6-7 years, everything's been kind of coming into our lives. You know, the pieces of the puzzle have been perfectly fitting and perfectly falling into place. And we're just moving forward. You've seen the mini success we've had in such a short amount of time. The way we make people feel, because, you know, energy is everything. I mean, you know, we have certain people lined up, people interested, producers, investors. You know, it's happening. It's
I love
happening.
it. So 2026 is going to be a breakout year. Is that what I'm hearing?
1,000%. The Marina
Okay.
Effect,
And you'll keep us all posted because,
course,
I have a top 50 podcast right
Yeah.
now, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm on Apple.
Yeah.
I'm on all platforms, but Apple has been, there's tens of thousands of downloads going on right now. I don't understand it really, but I'm just very grateful. Thank you, Father. Thank you, God. And
Yeah, and
we're going to get the word out. In Marina Effect, I want to, break. I have a very big social media following now. I'm over 100,000, actually 150,000 organic followers across the platforms.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I want to stop you there because I want people to know that we, back in 2023, would spend nights in my cell talking and
About this.
thinking and visualizing about these things that we're doing right this very moment. You know
Right
what I mean?
now, we've been talking about this
Literally, like
when we were locked up in
locked
prison
up
and
in a little
forgotten
cell
by the world.
in the bunk, just having nights where we would, sipping on a little black label.
Suboxone Sunday. I
And
mean,
just
allegedly, there was
talking
all
about
kinds
the
of
things that we
rumors.
were going to be doing. And here we are 2-3 years later, pursuing everything, excelling at what we're pursuing, becoming successes. It's an amazing
He's an
thing to
amazing
be part
prison
of.
chef, I want you to know. You get excited when he told me he's making pizza or something.
Well, now we got our personal chef, Chef Pete. Shout out to him.
He's
I don't
back
gotta
in the
cook.
picture, Chef
I
Pete.
don't got to cook no more.
Chef Pete disappeared for a minute, right?
Yeah, well, we all
And
have
he
to
had
go
a
through our-
girlfriend. I forgot her name. What was her
Yeah,
name?
yeah. We'll keep that off.
I liked her, believe it or not. And I liked when she sang with Jenny V.
Yeah.
But I understand they had a little mud wrestling incident, and Jenny knocked her out of the ring. The Chef Pete is back in the picture.
No, he's back and better than ever. Sometimes it takes that for people to really understand. They have to kind of separate themselves, get away, go through their own personal growth, their
Correct.
own
Listen, that's what
downfall to
happens.
come back stronger.
You're providing stability.
Yeah.
So he came back to sort of your
And he's
family.
also kind of blown away by what he left to and what he's come back to. He left it at the house show. And the day he came back was the Meisner Park Battle of the Band win.
How great is
So
that?
imagine from the house show, he comes back.
I wonder what he said when he came back, but we'll save that.
Yeah,
We'll get to
but
that.
no, he was.
What can we expect? What can we expect from
I mean,
Gabriel, Arias
from
Maduro,
G,
now G?
G, the man
G.
himself. I mean,
We're gonna get you like a giant G, a solid gold with diamonds and rubies, right? One of these Miami emblems.
I guess I probably wouldn't wear it much, but
Big G.
no, I mean,
What
honestly,
can we look forward to?
we're just gonna keep moving forward. I mean, I'm not really so attached on exactly where I'm going. I know.
5 years from today. How old are you right now?
I'm 35.
35.
I got out of
I've
prison.
done that almost twice.
Yeah.
What does 40-year-old G look like? You ever want to get married, have kids, have a family, buy a house? All those happy things?
Those are things I'm not really too focused on right now.
What are you focused
I'm
on?
focused on building this dynasty, building this movement. Because the Marina Effect is a lot more than
More
just-
than music, you say?
Yeah, the Marina Effect. That's why it is called the Marina Effect. Is the Marina? My mom had an effect on us by giving us her space to kind of let us use that space and kind of let us join ourselves into creating what we created there. But the Marina Effect itself is an extension of that, and we have also been not only inviting people and being very inclusive and letting people be themselves around us, but we also promote a healthy lifestyle. Everything that I've learned in prison as far as the yoga, the meditation, the personal growth, the manifesting, diet, everything of raising the personal energy that we have is things that we're trying to preach, things that we live on a daily basis.
I love it because it's a lifestyle.
It's a
You're
lifestyle.
a lifestyle brand.
Yes, sir.
The music is just like the
Yeah, and on top of that, we have high energy music. That's one thing that a lot of people say is that we have high energy music.
I think you're probably like the greatest, like the boss, like guys like Springsteen, live shows.
Yeah,
that's where you shine.
And I do believe we're gonna get there. I believe between myself, Jenny, and Evans, we have what it takes. The way that our voices complement each other, the music, the look, the lifestyle, the story, the message. Not a lot of people go through what I had to go through, and come out the way I came out. The way we've come out.
This is how diamonds are made.
Yeah.
Under millions of tons of pressure and burning, searing heat, and you produce the most valuable thing in the history of the world. Is there anything we haven't touched you'd like to share real quick before we end?
Before we end, I just want to say one thing about perspective. Life is all about perspective. Everyone's going through something. And it doesn't matter what you're going through. It matters how you look at it. Every adversity has an equal or greater seed of opportunity. That's what I believe. And that's what many of the greats believe. And prison to me was that adversity that gave me the opportunity to become who I am today. And I feel like anyone who's going through anything right now, have a paradigm shift. Switch your goggles. Stop looking at it so negatively. Things come to us spiritually neutral. And depending on how we look at it, decides whether it's good or bad. I was able to take prison and make it the best thing that ever happened to me. Whatever it is you're going through, let that be one of the best things that ever happened to you. And let that transform your life and catapult you to where we can all go,
Thank you so much for coming in today, my brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is literally a dream come true.
G, live.